Welcome to part 2 of my restoration of a WOA2, a motor car that went all the way around the world 80 years ago and then became a breakdown truck in a garage in the south of England and ended up in the garage scrapyard, and now it's in my shed and we're trying to bring it back together. So bit by bit I shall be putting up short films of what we're doing and trying to explain why I'm doing it. It's way too far gone really, but it's such a rare car, they survive in single figures worldwide, so it's got to be worth a try. I've always wanted one. What I'm looking at here is the sort of bulkhead, or I don't know, limousine division I suppose, of this WOA2, and it had a map table on the back of it that folded out, and we've got what's left of the frame for that, and the hinges and so forth, which we probably will reuse. I'll take those off and I'll dump them in a bucket of diesel, and I'll use as much of this wood as I can that is original, if it's not actually rotten. Now, you know, there should be a wooden capping on here, and I've got another bulkhead which is in much better nick than this, that came out of the Defano car. So that's the one that will go back with the Defano chassis and all the other bits when we rebuild the car. But these little pieces of wood here are a bit beyond the pale really, and they are what holds this in between the B posts, and these pieces of wood slot in here and are held in by a couple of bolts, and these probably would have been captives, but they pulled out. So I've got to make some of these, and the finish isn't ridiculously important because this is a closed area. It will be inside the B post, and the front and the back are covered in millboard and have the door piping sandwiched into them. So they are just bits of wood, and you can see that one's got a little turnbuckle on it, which would have held the curtain that dropped down to make the division complete. Well, what I've got here is a reasonably good pattern to work from. We can see where all the fixings were. It was fairly roughly made in the first place. There's nothing really sort of that special about it. It's not made out of anything really specialist, which is not surprising really. My 1939 heavy utility was built by Thrapper Maberleys, and it was built out of all the correct wood: ash, oak, elm, where you'd expect to find it. My 43 heavy utility, the 4x4, is built out of all sorts of old rubbish, because by the middle of the war, all the seasoned hardwoods, all the really good grade woods, were going into aircraft and ship production, and the British motor industry really was using, you know, packing cases almost, in the same way that Fords used to with Model Ts to make the woodwork. So yeah, I've cut these. The laugh, the always funny ha-ha bit about these is you cut one and then you've got to cut another one the same but opposite. But anyway, we'll finish these off and make them look all lovely, and we'll see where we get to. Roughly cut, I've got 2 sets made up. I usually make 2 sets of everything if I've got to make something, manufacture something, 2, 3 sets, and then I'll mark them and put them on the shelf. I only actually need 1 set at the moment, but you never know. I'm still buying WOA parts when they turn up. If another vehicle turns up, we've got some. And I'm just going to tidy this up until it's a flat enough surface to bolt a piece of millboard to, screw a piece of millboard to, and then we'll sand it down a bit and we'll call them good. I think I've got a very bored dog at my feet here. Yeah, there we go. He's fed up with the whole operation. Well, looking through the shed, I can see my target. That's the thing that I want over there. I'm going to have to do a bit of mountaineering to get to it, but I'll drag it out and then we can have a look at it. While we're in here, this is the sad remains of the Tufano car, all flat packed. So that's a rear panel. It's been cut away at the back so that they could put a Harvey Frost crane in the back of it years and years ago. But a lot of these panels, they're a bit crispy around the edges, but the metal's still quite thick and they're quite straight, so we will be able to repair them and reuse them. We've got the division out of the Tufano car, and I dragged it out of the shed. And as you can see, it's in pretty good order, really. I don't think there's anywhere we're actually going to have to do rust repairs on this. It's still got its wooden capping on the top. The two end pieces will need remaking, but the middle bit will sand down and varnish and look all right again. And on the back of it, it's missing its hinges and map table, but all the holes are there. We know where they go, and we've got hinges on the other division that's still in the car. So we've got a complete unit here that we can clean up and use. Now I'm going to fit this in the shell because probably what will happen is when we've completed the body, we'll take it apart and we'll soda blast everything or something. We'll decide what's best when the time comes, and then we'll put it back together again, and with a little bit of luck, then it'll come out all right. We can paint it all and make it all look lovely.
What are you doing?
Well, come here and have a look, and I'll show you. This is a civilian body shell. So it had Furflex nailed into pieces of wood. In here, held in by little clips. But what I've got to do is bash these flat like that, just there, and so they're, you know, because they're sort of punched out of the, and we need to put them back to the raw production stage because we're building something different. And then the pieces of wood that I've just made will fit into this channel, hopefully nice and tight, because they're not really held in by very much, a couple of captive bolts, but nothing else. And then once these are in where they belong, other way up, then the division screws into them and comes across the back. So we'll do that in a bit. But it's almost like two sort of restorations in one after the other, really, this, because this is so rotten and so bad, and there's so much sort of missing and been messed about with, that I'm almost kind of roughly assembling a motor car to make sure that we've got everything and it's all in the right place. And then when we've done that, I'll blow it apart again and do what most people would call a restoration, because most people wouldn't really attempt this, but it's so rare that I've got to kind of try and do it. So yeah, this is stage one, really, where it's all, I'm not quite mocking it up, but it's all a trial fit. So this has a map table on the back of it, like my Woody does, the Humber Woody, and also the heavy utility, the 4x4. So they all had a map table and some little bins and things. But all I'm really doing is just screwing this in with some posi drives and holding it there with some clamps so that we can do the next stage. Over here, I have what's left, and it really is mortal remains, of the panel that went down here, sort of between, it sort of slots into there, but I'm not actually quite sure how. It probably goes in better from behind. Yeah, that's better. That fits in there and closes the whole thing off, so so that you when you drop the curtain down, the cab is a separate place from the back. So it's a command car, so that officers or whoever was considered important sat in the back and made their cunning plans. And these cutaways here are really roughly done, actually. They're done with a gas torch, but that may be factory, because I think what they are is the cutaway. So you had a butt plate down there, and that was, looking at where these holes are, you could put rifles in behind the seats. So that's the driver's rifle housing and the front seat passenger's rifle housing. There and there. And this one obviously goes the other side, and you can see the cutaway where the transmission tunnel was. So we've got to recreate that. I think we might just use the end plates. I'm trying to use as many original panels and parts from the original car as possible. But you know, some of this stuff, it's a bit of a tall order. Well, there it is. It's just stage 1 trial fit, really. But you know, I've got to get this thing back in one piece so that we know that we've got it somewhere near right, and then then we take it apart and restore it, really, I guess. But there it is. So I suppose what I need to say now is thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. With a bit of luck, in a few months' time, we'll have another one of these really rare cars back in one piece, and we'll be able to take it out for a test drive and see how we get on.